America. I don't have much to say here. I just wanted to talk a little bit about how to survive and win in the CZs things. This is just a lovely day in the CZ here. I like the medium CZs. They give you mainly because they give you the challenge of fighting the spec op guys. The low CZs don't have the spec ops. It's just fighting regular ships until you win. The high CZs aren't really any harder than the medium CZs. They just take longer, and they typically feature challenges that I don't really think are really very interesting, like shooting some nose off a big ship. That's about it. So I like the medium CZs mainly. They don't take a lot of time. The high CZs take a long time. And I just want to talk about how to get through these without losing any, without getting killed, basically. And there's really only one thing to worry about with these, and that is the spec ops. About 80% of the time when you get into a medium CZ, you're going to get spec ops drop in after about a minute. Sometimes they don't show up, which just makes it easier, but most of the time they do. And the main thing you want to do when you get into a medium CZ, the first thing you want to do is look at where all the green ships are and where all the red ships are, and you want to locate the biggest crowd of green ships you can locate, and you want to get into the middle of them, and you want to stick close to that little cloud of green ships and shoot at whatever they're shooting at for at least the first minute or so. The critical moment is when the spec ops show up. When the spec ops show up, they are going to latch on to somebody, and depending on what their makeup is, they may all latch up onto one guy and go after him. And you don't want that one guy to be you, because if you have, one or two spec ops is not a problem. I mean, it depends on your skill and your loadout, but one or two spec ops probably not a problem. But 3 or 4 coming after you all at once, you don't really want that. You might not live through that experience. Especially if you get the combination of spec ops where you got a Fair-Du-Lance and a couple of Vipers. The spec ops generally have, they're all generally elite. They generally have better weapons, and the Vipers in particular, combined with the Fair-Du-Lance, when you get that combination, yeah, those are the ones I find the hardest. You really don't want those guys coming after you, because they're kind of like hornets. They're kind of like hornets. They're kind of like yellow jackets. If they latch on to you, and they're all latched on to you, they're going to stay with you, and they're not going to forget about you. You can run away, run out of the cloud until they give up on you and turn back. As soon as you go back in, they're going to turn right back in and come after you. Once you've got their attention, they're sticking on you. You can still win the CZ, even if that happens. You might have to resort to just flying around. You want to keep flying. In that case, if they're all lashed onto you and ganging up on you like that, you want to keep trying to fly through clouds of green ships as much as possible. You want to try to encourage your fellow green ships to shoot at these guys. They don't always do it. Sometimes, I don't know if this is in the programming or not, but sometimes it seems like your fellow green ships are really reluctant to shoot at the spec ops. They see the spec ops have lashed onto you, and they're like, yeah, we'll let him handle that, and they don't really want to get involved. Sometimes it seems like that, but usually you want to fly through clouds of green ships and get some of those green ships interested in shooting at the spec ops. If they do, then you might be able to turn around and engage some of that spec ops. But you can still win the CZ just by flying around and leading the spec ops around. Because the one upside of this situation is that if all the spec ops are shooting at you, that means they're not shooting at anybody else. They're trying to bring you down, and you might have to resort to the ultimate indignity, which is flying out of the cloud and resetting your ship to rebuild your ships to 50%. But that doesn't mean you're going to lose the CZ. Just keep an eye on what the score of the CZ is. You might have to resort to trying to fly around and go around the other side and pick off some weaker ships to help out your team if they get too far behind. But basically that's the only thing to know about medium CZs is right in the first 2 minutes at least, find a flock of green ships, get in the middle of them, so when the spec ops show up, they don't latch immediately onto you. They'll latch onto some other floor pool maybe, and don't get into a big hurry to engage the Spec Ops. I like to take them out if I can, but don't get into a huge hurry, because even if they don't latch onto you at first, if you turn around and start hunting them too soon, before anybody else is really interested in shooting at them, they could latch onto you as soon as you start shooting at them, and then you're right back to square one. You have to start leading them around, trying to shake them loose, trying to get some of the other guys to shoot at them. Once you see other people shooting at the Spec Ops, then you might want to go in there and start picking them off. Especially if you see a Spec Op out there and there's multiple people shooting at them. Oh yeah, definitely go in there and kill them then. That's when it's safest, because they're gonna be too busy to worry about you at that point. Oh well, that's all I really got to say. This is just a lovely day in the CZ here. We've got the wonderful ring system in the background, and I've got this lovely setup here. I'm very happy with this loadout I've put together. It's only taken me about, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so to figure out how to do a loadout in this game, but this is pretty good for PvE. This is pretty good for PvE. I still would not suggest using this against other players at all, just because this is basically shield tanking a little bit, and other players are probably a lot of them are gonna be using weapons that can shoot through shields, and they're just gonna shoot through your shield and take out your FSD or your power plant or something, and it's gonna be lights out right there. And if they do some tricky thing and take your shields down, yeah, it's pretty much over with it at this point with this loadout. So I'd be wary of that. But there's different philosophies with all that. I guess you could probably kill some people with this thing, but I don't even care about that. It's too much trouble to coordinate with people to even get into those kinds of fights. Otherwise, I don't know. If that was the only option, I guess I'd deal with it, but no, I don't even want to bother with it. All I want to do is get into one of these CZs, spend a few minutes in here, and then get back out and do other stuff. All right, that's all I got to say. Well, have a good day.